What's up, guys? I am jumping into a new line of figures that I have never bought before, never seen in person, but when I knew that they were putting this franchise into plastic, I instantly jumped on it, had to pre-order this thing, and we finally have, well, finally for me anyways, finally have the Square Enix Bring Arts FEI FONG WONG figure in their new Xenogears line of action figures. So this is to me, a very classic Square RPG on the PlayStation. I played the hell out of this game when I was in high school. It is one of my favorite games of all time, so this was a no-brainer for me. We have got him in what is kind of a large box. Honestly, this thing seems way too big for what's in this package for the size of the figure, but what are you going to do? So we've got a black box here with a bunch of red accents. We've got FEI in the window. You can see him and all of his accessories. We've got the classic Xenogears logo in the bottom, along with the Bring Arts logo on the side as well. The spine of the box has a write-up for Xenogears and FEI, and then the back has a bit of legalese as well as some product shots, and then the other side of the box has the Xenogears logo with FEI in the middle. So let's get down to it. I want to pull this guy out. We're going to take a look. Alright guys, here he is out of the package, our Xenogears FEI FONG WONG figure from Square Enix, and after this review, if you want to snatch one up for yourself, head on over to BigBadToyStore.com. I believe they are still doing pre-orders as of this video. I will, as always, put a link down below. But again, this is a figure that I am very excited to take a look at. Again, you know, it's a figure that it's just an instant purchase for me. Longtime favorite property, one of my favorite games of all time, so yeah, it's kind of a no-brainer. We're going to take a look at Articulation first, as usual. We got to see how this guy moves around because there's definitely some odd stuff going on here. I can tell at first glance alone. So as far as moving this guy around, you know, I'm not all that familiar with Square Enix toys. I do have a few. I've got some really old Play Arts figures, not Play Arts Kai, some old Final Fantasy stuff. So I'm not too familiar with their joint system and how they do things, but I know that there's some weird stuff going on here. There's a huge usage of ball hinges as well, which is kind of odd, at least in some of the ways that they use them. And then there's some wonkiness going on with those feet. We'll start with the head, of course. We have got a ball hinge at the ponytail, so you can start there. So you can articulate this, move it up and down, full range of motion. We have got a ball hinge in the top of the head that goes into a peg that sits in the neck, so it's just one ball. So you can rotate all around, a little bit up and down. So not the greatest. We've got a ball that goes into the arm, which is led into a hinge in the shoulder. So the arm is hinged, and then there's a ball inside. If you can see that, there's a big ball joint there. So you do have a drop down effect that you can deal with. You can raise it up a little bit, and then of course you can rotate in there as well. You can also swivel that too if you wanted to, so you can swivel it all the way around. It's just kind of odd. It's functional and it works fine, and this upper piece of his clothing is soft, so it actually helps hide that joint a little bit. There is a swivel here at the bicep. We got a ball hinge elbow, so you know, full range of motion. I'm not a huge fan of this. I knew that this was the joint system going in, at least, you know, based on the elbow pictures, seeing them previously. It's just, you know, it's kind of unsightly, but it does work. And then there is a peg that goes into the forearm, so you could swivel on that. And then there is a ball hinge at the wrist, so kind of like what you get with figure arts. I'm kind of used to that. And then we have got a diaphragm joint here, so you can go forwards just a little bit, but he goes back pretty far, which is nice. There is a waist twist. I almost didn't notice it at first because you've got this soft piece of plastic here, but he does twist all the way around. Legs can go all the way out. You can kick pretty much all the way forward. This piece will get in the way a little bit, but it pushes up just fine, and then back quite a bit, and then you can kind of rotate at the thigh. We've only got a single joint at the knee, but he does go back more than 90, so that doesn't really bother me. There is nothing at the boot level. We do have rotation at the ankle, and then there is a disc hinge there. And like I said, he's got some wonkiness going on with the feet, and I'm not too familiar with these joint systems, so I don't know if this is a thing or not. But he does have a rocker, but it's actually at the foot. It's almost like he has slippers on, but he doesn't really. These are sandals. And you can see this cut right here is actually the joint, so it rotates. And it works just fine. I mean, it's like about as true of a rocker as you're going to get because the whole foot shifts with it. It's just weird, and I've never come across that. I'm sure Square Enix does that with other figures. But again, I'm not familiar, so it's kind of throwing me off. I don't hate it. It's just weird. The only way I can classify it as, you know, it's an odd joint, but it does do what it's supposed to do. how this guy looks is where I was really interested when it came to getting this figure. You know, I've said again and again that this is one of my favorite games of all time. I'm very familiar with how this guy looks in the character artwork, and I think this is a really, really faithful interpretation of that character artwork in plastic. This looks like the FEI that I remember from, you know, the in-game talking scenes, from the instruction booklet, from the strategy guides, from the various art books, things like that. This looks like what I want it to look like. The paint is not perfect. There are some splotchiness issues going on with the you know, the girdle thing here, and then these little blue lines are not perfect, but they're also not bad either. It's not in any way an eyesore or bothersome. So we've got the cream color tunic with the blue accents. We've got the little brooch that's on his chest there, and then we've got the pink armbands with the stripes on them, and we've got some pretty decent paintwork on this soft plastic. I don't really know what you want to call this thing, honestly. And then soft plastic on the upper parts of the tunic, which does work really well to help with these joints. We've got just cast plastic for the legs, and then we've got paint on the sandals, which is pretty well done. I don't have any issues with bleeding or anything like that down there. And then there is a bit of paint on the back, mostly just a continuation of the front, so more blues, and then more of this girdle belt type thing. Where he really shines for me is just, you know, the overall look. It just looks like the character, and that's really what I wanted. The face looks nice, sculpted well. I like the stoic expression on this first face that we got here. There is an extra head, and then he's got, you know, well painted eyes. Everything's very straight, everything's very clean. I really dig the way this sprig of hair juts out from his forehead, and I like the ponytail. I like the way it looks. I like the way it flows. I like the fact that we can move it, and we of course have got the hair tie on the back with some little accents all their own. So yeah, I mean, he may not be perfect by any means, and that's, you know, it's hard to achieve when it comes to any figure, but this looks exactly like I wanted him to, so I'm pretty happy when it comes to that. Now, in terms of accessories, as you can see here, we do, of course, have a second head. It is just a head swap, so pop the head out and put this guy on, and it is a different expression. So we have got FEI, you know, angry, he's got a furrowed brow, he's got an open mouth, screaming. It's pretty decent. I do think it looks a little odd if you're looking dead on, but once you angle that head a bit, maybe look at him from the side, depending on how you pose him, it looks really nice. Painted well, no real paint defects, no issues in that regard. I'm always up for extra heads. This expression works very, very well for this particular character, so I'm very happy to have that for sure. And as is the case with most import figures, we have got a smattering of extra hands. We have got the two fist hands you see now. We have got a set of open palm relaxed hands. We have got a set of kind of knuckled up hands. Not necessarily fists, but definitely a martial arts type of hand. We have got a set of gripping hands, and then we have got one lone hand that kind of looks like he's opening a pull tab on a can, but it also could be used as a pointing finger. And speaking of pull tab, we do have a can included. This is kind of the one accessory I find to be kind of odd because I would have much rather had an energy effect, but we do have a can of the Soylent system from the game. So if you want to have him holding this, you know, like he's going to get some food or something, you have an option. And then last but not least, we do have a stand for this figure, and it is kind of odd looking. It's got a bunch of holes to put the arm in. I don't know why all of those are necessary, but there you go. You've got options. It's kind of a standard stand. It holds him up just fine. All of the articulated points are very, very tight, which is nice. I'm not upset about that. And we've got two hooks. We've got two claws on him. We've got one that opens much wider, and then we've got one that is smaller. So, you know, this one's probably maybe used for his leg, and this one's probably used for his waist, maybe. I'm not really sure why this is necessary just yet. I haven't exactly figured it out. But yeah, you've got options when it comes to your stand as well. So overall, I am pretty happy with this figure. He is by no means a home run, so don't get me wrong there. He does have a few issues in terms of, you know, kind of wonky articulation, somewhat of a paint issue here and there. And then I do think he has some weird accessories, but overall, he is exactly what I wanted in terms of the look and feel of this figure. He looks exactly like I want a FEI FONG WONG Xenogears figure to look, and that's pretty much enough for me right now. I'm really excited to see where this line goes. I think Square Enix has a potential winner on their hands if they can continue to do this line and other lines, you know, Final Fantasy VII, hint, hint, Square. I need some figures in this scale. I've always wanted to get some of their stuff, but it's always been out of the realm of things I collect, and this is exactly my kind of figure. So I'm really excited to see where this goes. I'm really happy to add this to the collection, and yeah, that's about it. If you're a big Xenogears fan, I really think you need to get this figure. You kind of owe it to yourself to get something like this in your collection because frankly there isn't a whole lot to choose from. So that's going to do it for this look at the Square Enix Bring Arts FEI FONG WONG figure. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.